to continue the talk through CHIMES, and we've gotten to the fourth of the CHIMES now, which is M for maintenance. So why is maintenance important when it comes to slip safety, and what exactly does it mean? Well, if you've been following the Sliptember campaign, you'll know that I've been campaigning for government to legislate for annual slip testing of floors. And that's because floors change over time for a variety of reasons, and you can't rely on the fact that just because you had a floor that was safe and slip resistant when it was installed, that it remains safe and slip resistant now. There are three ways that floors change over time. So the three things we need to think about when it comes to maintenance are as follows. Firstly, change of use. So if a building was built in such a way that an area had a certain designated usage, and then for whatever reason that was changed. So think of a retail shop changing into a butcher's, or a supermarket repositioning their shelves, for example. Secondly, wear and tear. So this is a good example here in a barber's of a wooden floor, and you can clearly understand that the slip resistance of the floor where it's worn is going to be very different to the slip resistance of the floor where it hasn't worn. And the third thing, and perhaps the biggest area of maintenance we need to consider, is cleaning. So the way that we clean floor surfaces can have a significant effect on their slip safety. Let's quickly pick up on change of use. So consider this area here, which is a seating area with a shiny terrazzo floor. Now, in my experience, these types of floors give pretty low degrees of slip resistance when they're wet. But if it's a seating area, that's probably fine because you can just manage spillages. It's not going to get routinely wet. You don't need to worry. However, what if this was changed into a food prep area? You put a little counter there, and all of a sudden somebody was making sushi or milkshakes or whatever it might be. Well, all of a sudden the environment has changed and the fundamental need for slip safety increases significantly, but yet we've got a floor which was designed for a different use. So think about this, think about how buildings are used, how they're changed over time, and just be mindful of that when it comes to slip resistance. When it comes to changes over time through wear, for example, I often use the example of a church. So St. Paul's in London, where I live, beautiful church. But if you go into any church that's been there for hundreds of years and you look at the floor, unless that floor's been replaced, what you're going to see are walking traffic lines, and you're going to see wear and tear to the floor. And that's going to change the slip safety dynamics, the slip safety performance of the floor surface. Now, that could be a good thing. In other words, you could have a smooth surface that was quite slippery when it was wet, and as it wears, it gets rougher and less slippery when wet, or conversely, it could be the other way around. But it's impossible to know just by looking at it. You need to be testing, monitoring, and staying on top of maintenance. And the third area, which is relevant to every single floor and is one of the key control measures that we need to be mindful of when it comes to mitigating the risk of slip and fall accidents, injuries, and claims, is cleaning. So every floor gets cleaned to varying frequencies. Many floors in commercial buildings get cleaned every day. But the question is, although we're cleaning, does that mean that the floor is clean? So this photo here is from a shopping centre, and if you walked into that shopping centre and you were asked to give a score out of 10 for the cleanliness of the shopping centre, and you walked over this floor, you'd probably give it quite a good score. It's shiny, it's even, it doesn't look visibly dirty. But it's not until you see that actually the colour of the floor is supposed to be white rather than the colour that it actually is, all of a sudden you realise, although this floor is being cleaned, it's not really being cleaned effectively. There's residue, there's contamination on the surface, and as we know from dealing with contamination in other videos, that is going to have a material effect on the slip safety. So we need to try to quantify and scientifically monitor and prove how effective our cleaning regimes are. Now, when it comes to cleaning, there are 5 principles that we espouse and that we talk about, and I created a model for this called Rotors, not a cleaning rota without an S, but Rotors. And the idea here is that, a bit like CHIMES, these all interrelate to some extent. You need to get them all working in harmony, and if you do that, then you've got a good chance of keeping cleanliness standards high, but also, importantly, keeping floors safe through cleanliness and cleaning as well. So the 5 things are regularity, so we need to be cleaning surfaces frequently enough. Organisation, that's all about knowing the outcomes that we want and being able to manage the delivery of those outcomes. T is time, so this is all about giving enough physical time to do the job. One of the big problems I see a lot is, even if you outsource cleaning to a professional cleaning company, if you give them 20 hours to do a 40-hour job, it doesn't matter how good they are and how professional they are at cleaning, it's simply not possible to do that cleaning effectively. A is ability, so this is all about the staff and training them, giving them the right skills. And then S is system, the method that we use. So, the right products, the right equipment, the right methodology, etc. So I hope that's given you a few things to think about when it comes to maintenance. All I would really add to that is that, and I've touched on this when it comes to cleaning, you can't assume that because a surface looks clean, that it is clean. So we've seen in the last 2 years with COVID, the heightened awareness of hygiene, and we all now know that viruses and bacteria can be on surfaces that look clean because they're invisible. And so take that learning into your management of slip safety risks as well. Don't assume that because a floor looks clean, that it is safe. A couple of ways you can use to test that and scientifically quantify it. One is through slip testing, and I'll talk in more depth about slip testing in videos coming up soon. The other is through what we call a hygiene safety test, using something like ATP testing, and that's a way of quantifying how much organic matter is on the surface. So again, you could have contaminants on the surface that you can't see, but a test can pick them up, and then you can look to iterate the cleaning process to improve it, make it effective, and keep your floors safe. As always, hope you've enjoyed this and found it useful. Tomorrow I will give you an example of maintenance and bring that into the real world, and some lessons learned from a real life site. See you then, and please do follow, like, comment and support the Sliptember campaign. Cheers.